Good evening and welcome to the Wednesday, October 11th, 2022 meeting of the Long Meadow School Committee. School committees and other public bodies may continue to hold remote meetings through March 31st, 2023, under new legislation enacted in July of 2022. The statute, Chapter 107 of the Acts of 2022, extends quorum reductions for remote meetings. All votes, while there is remote participation, must be made by roll call vote. This meeting is being recorded and aired live on LCTV. We will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Correspondence, we'll turn that over to our, actually, can we have you? Thank you.
Yep, sure. The following correspondence will be recorded. A memo from Mr. Donald Jarvis, Director of CTEC, dated October 4th. Oh wait, am I reading the correct one? Yes, okay, just making sure, sorry. Dated October 4th, 2023, should it say?
Yes, correct.
Regarding the Walter E. Quigley Jr. Student of the Month Awards for September 2023. Longmeadow students honored were Hadley Beaumont, Advanced Manufacturing, and Jack Bellevue, Health Assisting.
All right, wonderful. Congratulations to those students. Moving forward to approval of minutes, we have a recommended motion.
I move that the school committee approve the minutes to the September 27th, 2022 school committee meeting as presented.
2023.
2023.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. Julie?
Yes.
Thank you. Zach?
Yes.
Michaela?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
And yes for me as well. All right, we are moving on to our Student Advisory Council, to the school committee. Welcome. We're going to turn things over to you guys. You have an agenda planned for this portion of the meeting.
Yes.
Wonderful. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm Andrew, and
I'm Lily May.
so we split this up into separate portions for each of us to talk about. So Lily, you first.
Yep, so to start, the Hamden County District Attorney's Youth Advisory Board meetings have resumed after our summer break. Our leadership meetings began in September, and today was our orientation. So the Youth Advisory Board is a subset of the Community Safety and Outreach Department of the DA's office, where we have 70 high school students this year from high schools all across the county who work to discuss issues affecting students today, such as substance abuse, mental health, gun violence, healthy relationships, and social media. So at our meeting today, we were greeted by DA Galoni and introduced to the program, and next week starts our guest speaker series, starting with Eileen Sharp, who's the head of the Special Victims Unit.
Wonderful.
Awesome. I'm presenting also here for Akul, who I think is running late, so he might be here in the middle of this. So for him, he was going to talk about the pep rally, which will be held on October 27th in the LHS gym from 1:15 to 2:15 p.m. So our last block of the day. So we're going to have representatives from all co-curriculars of the school, including your clubs, so like club presidents, athletic teams, so team captains, to represent their group. And how I believe we're going to do that is we're going to have each group be introduced in the gym for the entire school to kind of cheer on. And then something I'm very excited about is the unified basketball team will play a shortened game at the pep rally, which I think is going to be really awesome. A lot of people are excited about that. And then we're also going to have the band there, I believe jazz band, who also play at the football games. And then we're also going to have, in terms of class spirit, each grade will wear a specific color. I don't think we've decided what they are yet, but just to kind of help with class spirit. And then we're also going to implement minute-to-win-it games, including games like tug of war and that. And then we'll also have a class competition in terms of cheering. So yeah, that's on October 27th, and we're really excited about that. And then we also are hosting the Western Massachusetts Association of Student Councils Fall Conference on November 14th at the high school, which will include a variety of workshops to help build leadership skills. And we've invited a variety of schools which will be in attendance from all over the region, including Turner's, Greenfield, Mohawk, Minnechaug, and Southwick, somewhere in the range of 200 kids from these school councils. and student leadership groups. And then we'll have a guest speaker, Tony Pina, I believe is how you pronounce his name. He's a softball coach, and he's also a representative for Nike, which is going to be really awesome. And that's going to be hosted in the auditorium from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. on the 14th of November. And yeah, that's all I have for that.
So for upcoming events, I'll be doing that as well. We have Teacher Parent Night on the 19th of October. On the 25th of October, the LHS Chamber Concert will be held in Seminar A in the academic wing. And the Key Club Halloween Spooktacular will be held on October 28th. Oh, and National Honor Society induction is November 2nd.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank
That's a
you.
great
Thank
report.
you.
I love hearing from you guys. There's lots of exciting things going on over at the high school. Thank you for all the work you're doing there. All right, moving forward, visitor comments. I do not see any visitors here in the room. If there's anyone at home. All right, seeing no comments, we'll move on to school committee announcements and recognitions. Does any committee member have an announcement or recognition to make? No? All right, we have no business with new guests, new business with guests rather, so administrative reports. Superintendent.
Thank you. A few items for your consideration tonight. We had, Andrew mentioned Unified Basketball. They had their first home game on Tuesday. It was a ton of fun. I was so pleased to see the turnout of the student body and the support they were giving these students. This is our first year participating in Unified Basketball. I shared some photos of the event with the school committee and the entire admin team, and it was just one of those moments that I think I'll remember the rest of my life. It was a really, really special day. So kudos to Mike Capitasto, our athletic director, Brian Warshaw, and some other LHS staff members for bringing that forward. We're really super excited about it. I'm psyched to hear that they're going to participate in the pep rally.
Yeah.
Also, really excited to learn that the pep rally is inclusive of all of our clubs and activities as well. I think certainly when I was growing up, pep rallies were focused on sports.
Yeah.
And so it's good to know that we're taking a more expansive approach to pep rallies. So that's really cool stuff. I had an opportunity just before this meeting to meet with the leaders of the winter season booster clubs. The finance subcommittee has asked that we, work with the booster clubs to get a real true understanding and appreciation of the effort that our booster clubs make to support our student athletes. So we're doing some information gathering for the finance sub. And we talked about that with the leaders of the booster club this afternoon. Always appreciative of the great efforts they make to support our student athletes. And also, in relation to the support that we're fortunate to receive, the LEAF Grant Award ceremony is Thursday, October 12th at 3:15. Shout out to the Longmeadow Educational Excellence Foundation for their ongoing support of creative endeavors that our teachers pull together. The middle school building project is chugging along. The MSBA recently approved our selection of Colliers as our project manager for the project. And the next step is to establish a designer selection subcommittee of that building committee to begin evaluating submissions of firms that are interested in serving as our design partner in that project. So it's exciting, and it will be just in the early part of 2024 that we'll begin to engage in visioning sessions and program assessment and enrollment studies to push the project along further. So we're excited about that. Also, shout out to a couple of middle school teachers, Pam Conjemi and Tracy Bradshaw, for securing a grant from Mass Humanities. We're just one of 42 communities across the state that was awarded in a grant, and this grant is focused on helping us expand the diverse stories that make up our past, especially our local past here in Longmeadow. It's associated with a project called the Witness Stones Project, and certainly we'll have more to say in the days and weeks ahead, but it's a way to really acknowledge the presence of enslaved persons in Longmeadow historically, and it'll be an opportunity for students to study their lives and gain a greater appreciation for the contributions of enslaved Americans in Long Meadow. So again, shout out to Pam and Tracy for that. We have a recent meeting of our Leadership Acceleration Program. We have a group of administrators that are participating with the Center for Leadership and Educational Equity to support and accelerate the careers of young and aspiring or new administrators. So excited by that work and really an important part of our efforts to ensure that we have a sustainable future and that we're identifying and supporting future leaders here in Long Meadow Public Schools or administrators that are new to their positions. And October 20th, big day in Long Meadow, is the Takakawa signing ceremony. So the town of Long Meadow is moving forward with a relationship with the city of Takakawa, Japan. And at around noon on Friday the 20th, there'll be a signing ceremony, and members of the select board and the town manager will officially recognize that relationship. For about 15 years or so, we've had a relationship with Takakawa High School in Japan. This is taking it to a new level, and it's solidifying a partnership at the municipal level between the town of Long Meadow and Takakawa. So that's an exciting thing for us for sure. And then lastly, this is not in my written report, but wanted to acknowledge to the school committee and to the community at large that there's been a lot of recent media attention and certainly a lot of attention in educational circles around elementary literacy. And I know our members of our school committee have great and deep experience with this. But we just want to convey that, it's our intention to ensure that we're being responsive to the latest sort of research-based directions in this area. Beth Nelson recently took office as our curriculum director, and this has been sort of job one for her, is to make her way around the district and really conduct a really purposeful listening tour of our elementary educators and our elementary administrators, just to make sure that we fully understand our literacy practices. Right now, we approach elementary literacy using the units of study, which have come under scrutiny, but I would want to assure the committee and the community at large that the literacy program is really based on the specific unique needs of kids, and that our teachers are amazing at using the resources that we provided them to supplement word work with students and ensure that we're providing students with the opportunities to grow in their decoding skills, their phonemic awareness. And so our study is ongoing. We had, with the school committee's support, we had completed a study with an educational consultant firm called Athena K-12. We've made that study available to our elementary educators, and that will help us decide next steps in terms of elementary literacy. And so I know the curriculum subcommittee has met on this, and it's their intention to meet again in the weeks ahead to get an update from us, so we'll be sure to do that. Beth Nelson just recently released a survey to our elementary educators just to get a handle on their any concerns that they might have relating to elementary literacy instruction and any strengths that they've identified as well. So we'll keep the committee updated, we'll keep the curriculum subcommittee updated on that, and it's our intention to get an update out to the wider community on that in the days ahead as well. So really appreciative of the intentional way that Beth Nelson has taken on this in the early days of her work as our curriculum director. So more to follow in the weeks ahead for sure. And that's
All
it.
right.
Yeah.
Comments, feedback, questions related to superintendent's report? Mary?
Yes, a couple of things. Thank you for
Yeah.
the detailed report. I was wondering, is there a place we can find the game schedule for the unified basketball team?
It's actually integrated with our MIAA LHS athletic schedule. So it's on Arbiter, I think is the name of the
Arbiter
site?
Live.
Arbiter Live.
Yeah.
And so you can go to Arbiter Live, search out Long Meadow, and you'll find our full athletic schedule, including the schedule for the unified basketball team.
Great,
Yeah,
Fantastic.
thank you.
yeah. Thanks for asking. I didn't mean to mention that. So that's you're not the first to ask. So in fact, I checked that this afternoon to see if in fact it was. I was pleased to see that it was integrated into our athletic schedule on Arbiter Live.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, wonderful. Assistant Superintendent report, anything on your end?
No, I will save it for the finance
stuff.
subcommittee.
All the excitement there.
update.
Okay.
Thank you.
Perfect. All right, I wanted to start the chair report tonight with a couple of recognitions. First, to recognize a Long Meadow resident and the inspiring contributions that she has made, Shelley Warren, who recently stepped down after almost 8 years as the volunteer president of the board overseeing our CLOSE program, or Coalition of Long Meadow, organizing substance education for the community. Shelley also serves as Long Meadow Public Schools substance use response coordinator and was instrumental in getting the CLOSE program up and running and also maintaining that and seeking out federal funding every year of $125,000 per year over the last 10 years under the Drug Free Communities grant. So thank you so much to Shelley Warren for the time and energy that she has put in and the contributions she has made to Long Meadow and the students here. Next up, a recognition of Sue Bertrand, our newly retired assistant superintendent. We are simultaneously very happy for her and also very sad to see her go. Long Meadow schools are better for all the work that she has put in as well over the last 23 years. And her dedication and leadership will be greatly missed in the district. She led the charge over the last few years that I've been here anyway with several really important updates, and I've enjoyed immensely the work that she has put in to help LPS move forward with goals for improving inclusive and equitable education practices. So congratulations to Sue, and we wish you all the best and a happy and wonderful retirement full of joy and lots of adventures. And finally, a update from the community, a note from the Long Range Planning Committee that the draft of the Long Range Plan Inventory and Analysis is now open and available for public comment. The town is soliciting public comments on the factual accuracy of this draft through October 31st, and that draft can be found on the longmeadowma.gov website. So encourage folks to head there. It's right on the front page even, and also under the buildings department. So check those things out. All right, we are moving on. Student representative report. Andrew, we're back to you.
Okay, so just an addition from our report, I have a few athletics updates.
Yep.
Our volleyball team, the girls volleyball team, is currently ranked one of the best in the state. They're nearly undefeated. They're doing an awesome job. And then we also have had a couple of athletes involved in the Mass Live Super 7 for our student athletes, which is when Mass Live for specific teams honors athletes for their outstanding athletic performance. So I know for cross country, both Lucy Connell and Ada Grant were involved on that, so that's really awesome. That's all I have for athletics in my report.
All right,
May I
thank you.
introduce your classmate who
Yes.
joined
Oh,
you
yeah,
there?
this is a cool. He's also on the
Hello.
committee.
Welcome.
All right.
Glad you could make it for student council. All right, other reports. LPVEC.
No report, but we are meeting next Wednesday.
Thank you. Energy and sustainability. Anything on that one? I think we have everything for that tonight. All right, and then SEAL. Michaela.
There's a meeting for SEAL happening right now at 7 via Zoom. It's an introduction to some of the special ed supervisors, administrators, and all the assistant principals. And then besides tonight, the next meeting is on November 8th, and the topic will be basic rights, understanding the IEP. And it's presented by the Federation of Children with Special Needs.
Wonderful. Thank you. All right, we're headed into subcommittee reports, and first up is Finance Subcommittee, and I think Mr. Mazza is taking this one for us tonight.
Thank you and good evening. The Finance Subcommittee met on September 29th So included in your packet tonight are a number of final FY '23 budget reports. There is an all funds report showing the activity for budgeted line items. There's also just a general fund report, which would indicate the funding that is appropriated by the town. And the third report is our revolving account report. So these were reviewed by Finance Subcommittee. I would say spending tracked as we expected. Specifically on the general fund report, on the last page under available budget, we did finish the year with no funds left over to return to the town. There are a number of factors associated with that, from settled collective bargaining agreements, but also special education related expenses. So those are there for the committee to review. I'm happy to answer any questions. They are informational in nature for tonight. The subcommittee also, as part of the review, had a discussion regarding athletics, and there were, I would say, additional information to follow for a specific report, financial report related to the athletic activities for FY '23. I think as expected, the expenses exceeded revenue associated to the program. When we had the discussion of raising the fees last year, we indicated it's going to be an ongoing dialogue, especially related to the amount we have budgeted in our budget. So I think as part of the FY '25 budget, we will have to look at that and consider what steps we're going to want to take. But I think it would be helpful maybe waiting until we have the presentation from the athletic director in regards to the activities related to athletics specifically. Julie, I don't know if there's anything else you want to add regarding that?
I don't think so.
Okay, thanks. The one other item for tonight for consideration is a list of student activity subsidiary accounts that would require school committee authorization. So each year, at the beginning of every school year, we would bring forward a list of accounts that the middle and high school plan on using as part of their student activity fund. This requires authorization of the school committee. Finance subcommittee did review it and did recommend full adoption by the school committee. But again, I'm happy to answer it. It would reflect accounts that the schools know that will be active, receiving funds or expending funds during this year. It would also identify any accounts that they want to inactivate because they no longer are active either as a club or as a function of the high school. In FY '24, we do not have any accounts that they've identified that they would like to inactivate.
All right. Any questions related to finance sub and the budget report? Okay. So those of you who are at home, we have a little bit of, you have your correct motions in front of you, but we have a slight delay with ours, so they are on my screen, and you've got yours as well. Okay.
If I could just, the correspondence was incorrect, that's why I was tripped up.
Gotcha, that was, okay. We can return to that one. Okay. You're right, that was, yeah, okay.
So this is number
Finance sub,
9.
yep,
Okay.
9. Sorry, folks.
And you would like me to make a motion?
Yes, we have a motion that can be made.
Okay. I move on the recommendation of the Finance Subcommittee that the school committee authorize the student activity sub-accounts as listed on the Longmeadow Student Activity Sub-Account Authorization List, updated 9/29/2023.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion related to the student activity sub-accounts? Anyone at home? All right, seeing none, we will move to a vote. Julie?
Yes.
Zach?
Yes.
Michaela?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
And yes for me as well. All right, fantastic.
That is
Closes
it,
out finance
yes.
sub for tonight.
Thank
All
you.
right. We are headed into policy sub. Michaela?
Happy to jump in if it would be helpful, or?
Yeah, sure. Is this not right?
The
Yeah,
paper one, I
Okay.
think, is.
The electronic annotated agenda
Yeah.
is,
It was right before, though. I looked at it earlier, the
It was
electronic
right
one.
online,
Yes,
yes. I think
correct.
the
Just have the
paper
school
version.
school council and school improvement plan policies.
correct.
Correct.
Yeah. So
Okay.
we had, and you can jump in if I'm missing something, we had two policies that were out for public comment relating to the operation of school councils. Essentially, where there were three policies with a lot of redundant language, we now have two policies that are more streamlined. So no substantive change, frankly, to the operation of a school council, as that is governed by Mass General Law, but it just makes the language clearer. So the policies have been out for public comment. We've received none, and so if the committee so chooses, it could vote to adopt those two policies.
Any additional?
Oh,
thoughts
that's
there?
it. Just that it's the second reading of them. They've been posted for over 30 days.
Yeah.
All right. Any questions, feedback, and/or recommended motions related to these policies? Take it away.
Recommended
Yes.
motion. I move on the recommendation of the policy subcommittee that the school committee adopt the revised policy BDFA, school councils, and BDFAE, school improvement plans, as presented.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, we will move to a roll call vote. Julie?
Yes.
Thank you. Zach?
Yes.
Michaela?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
And yes for me as well. All right, those are all of our subcommittee reports. So we are headed into school committee goals. We are taking a second run at this after our beginning discussion last meeting. We ultimately decided to table the discussion so that we were able to take an assessment survey on last year's school committee goals and use that information to help with the planning of the current goals. So thank you to those who were able to participate in that. At this point, what I would like to do is, for moving forward, myself and Mary would like to work together to draft some potential goals to put into our packet for next meeting, so that then everyone can read them fully written and give feedback and discuss. But before that, I did want to open it for us to discuss any possible amendments to the current goals that we have gone through. We do have notes here from several people, but if there's anything in particular that you would like to add in and/or thoughts or feedback, we'll start on the curriculum end. We have traditionally had goals sorted out into 4 categories: curriculum, policy, communication and community relations, and fiscal. So we'll start out with curriculum. We have a few goals from last year that are being recommended to move forward, and if anybody has any thoughts on things they would like to see added, that they maybe didn't get a chance to write down, and/or any changes of wording that they would like to recommend, now would be an excellent time to do that related to curriculum. So I'll jump in and start and just say that a number of the curriculum goals are sort of ongoing goals, but there was definitely a note from several folks about making sure that they are updated to reference current programs, such as the pilot of the ruler program for social emotional learning, also elementary literacy, and continuing on with the math curriculum updates as well. And then also just a note that we want to make sure that our goals are particularly related to the school committee, and not instead more tactical goals that the administration would be undertaking. So if there's any additional feedback on those for curriculum. All right, we will move on then to policy. Any thoughts or feedback related to policy? And those of you who are at home, you can see these also in your folder. these notes rather. Right. So one of the things that came up in the referencing of policy goals was to perhaps be particular about goals as they are related to categories of focus for the committee. So right now, we're focused on middle school building project, of course, curriculum review, and so perhaps looking at those specific policies might be a way to really target the work of the policy subcommittee, in addition to, of course, the usual work of reviewing to ensure that they're up to date with the Mass Association of School Committees and Mass state laws. Thoughts or feedback there? All right, we're moving right along. All right, communications and community relationships. We have a number of different goals related to communicating with our Long Meadow Public Schools stakeholders. If anyone has any thoughts or suggestions about moving those goals forward and/or new goals related to community relationships. I know I personally would very much like to see the goal move forward of having regular representation of students at school committee meetings, and looking forward to that being underway in the next month or so. And then I know that we're all, of course, also focused on making sure that community engagement and communication is clear as it relates to curriculum projects and review, middle school building projects, funding for capital planning projects, et cetera. Any other thoughts or feedback related to policy? Or, sorry, communications? All right, so last one, fiscal. Any thoughts or comments related to the current or moving forward fiscal goals? Any changes or thoughts related to that? Mary?
Well, one of the things that came up with our tours of the buildings are sort of that, in our conversations with you, Marty, you know, kind of really looking at our capital projects and working with other government bodies within Longmeadow to advocate for funding. You know, I think actually being in the buildings and seeing the needs of the buildings, I just wonder how much communication about those specific needs goes out to the community. You know, and not in a, you know, but being strategic about how we budget for that and maintaining the beautiful buildings that we do have, you know. So I think that our goals should have some reflection of that, and I don't think it has, at least in the time that I've been on the committee. We've always talked about capital projects, we set aside money for that, but maybe there's some of that advocacy with the other boards within the community that we can, you know, collaborate with for funding.
Yeah, definitely. And that's an important thing for sure to add in, making sure that we're noting not just working through the school committee or through the finance subcommittee for that planning, but all of us being able to advocate for and work in collaboration with other town committees and bodies as well. All right, other thoughts or feedback? All right, so then,
I do have.
oh, yep. go ahead.
And I guess not specific to this, I just want general
Yeah.
feedback.
No, that's fine too, general
Well,
feedback.
I think one of the things that we talked about last time too is what are our measure of success? What does it look like? So what, you know, at the end of it all, at the end of this year, what can we say that we've accomplished with each of these goals? So maybe when you and I meet, we can think about ways to make these goals measurable.
Yeah. I definitely think we'll be focused on ensuring that those goals are very specific, actionable, measurable, and are goals that we can assess as the year ends. This was a great process to be able to really look at each part of the goals that we've had over the last year and think about which goals have maybe become outdated and or been met, which goals might need reworking, and what our sort of current status of goals is. So Mary and I will pull together a draft of potential goals for us. If there is anything that any committee members think of over the next week ahead, then definitely reach out and let myself or Dr. O'Shea know, and we will incorporate that, and then we'll have a draft available before our next meeting so we can vote on the adoption of school committee goals then. Right, anything further related to school committee goals? We have no motion, so we're moving ahead. MCAS report.
All right.
That's
Yeah, happy to take this
moving
over.
on to
We
next
had,
time, yeah.
for a while, we were thinking it would be a good opportunity to introduce Beth Nelson to the committee, but would ask that we have her join you at your next meeting if it makes sense to the committee. Wanted to, still giving Beth a chance to get her legs under her as our curriculum director, as she just started on October, I guess it was October 9th. And so, but she has done an amazing job and has really zeroed in on some critical issues and issues that have been a part of our conversations here at this meeting. So Beth could join us at our next meeting. She could also kind of give us some sense of the committee, some sense of her entry plan and how she's tackling that needs assessment that she's in the middle of. So tonight, I'd like to just give you a sort of very high-level overview of our MCAS results. And I found that, oftentimes the information that we present to the committee and to the community is often best shaped by the input and questions that we get from the committee. So if there's any additional information that you think would be helpful, Beth certainly could pull that together before the next meeting and present it. So just a few high-level slides relating to our 2023 MCAS results, both from an achievement perspective and in terms of accountability. So I'll just share the slide here if I could. 1 second. So I'll leave it in this mode if that's okay. Zach and Julie, if you're not able to see it, let us know. The 2023 MCAS results, I think one of the sort of important ways to look at this is to consider how we have begun to rebound from the effects of the pandemic. And so MCAS is a good way to measure that. I think we all know that MCAS represents sort of a single measurement of a single point in time, but it does help us understand achievement at the district level, the school level, and the individual student level. And so we use the results to adjust instruction and make sure that we're providing students what they need. And I know this committee understands this, that there are so many different ways to measure student learning and growth, and we also measure student learning and growth just by their love of learning, their engagement, the creative talents that they are given a chance to grow and develop in their time with us. And yet MCAS stands as an important indicator for us. So just sort of quickly at a district level, taking a look at our performance over the last 3 years. And what you see here, I apologize for the abbreviations, but the LPS percentage M/E means the percentage of students that are meeting or exceeding expectations. And so you'll see, sort of where we were in 2019 prior to the pandemic, where things stood in 2022, and the growth that has happened in the past year, at least according to this indicator. And so this is the ELA distribution by year. I highlighted in green the column on the right just to show that there has been growth at every grade level in ELA. In some case, we still have some a ways to go in terms of getting back to those 2019 achievement levels, and that's something that we're keeping our eye on. And of course, this is sort of, looking at it at a macro level, and our administrators and our teachers zero in on a school by school basis, on a student by student basis, but we're also looking at the achievement of various subgroups, high need students who are identified as high needs, students with disabilities, students who are part of our ELL population, and so there's different ways to disaggregate the information. And tonight, just for the purposes of tonight, I just wanted to kind of give you this high-level overview, and we can take a deeper dive at your next meeting if it's of interest. And so you'll see that we're starting to, I think the 2022 seems to be the lower spot, the lowest spot, and that we appear to be in recovery. I think our recovery, I would say, is been more pronounced than the recovery that has been seen across the state. You'll see that the increases across the state from 2019, or from 2022 even to 2023, have been more modest. So I'm pleased to see that, that there has been increases at each grade level, and in the sort of that band, that grade 3 to 8 band as well. In math, I think the rebound, the recovery has been even stronger, and you'll see that in some cases we have eclipsed where we were in 2019. And, I think the other caveat that needs to be put out there when you're looking at this is we're not comparing the 2023, the 2023 third grade is a different group of students than the 2019 group of students. And so we need to remember that as we're comparing year-over-year performance. But again, you'll see that, the recovery is underway. I think you'll see that our recovery has been more pronounced and stronger than the recovery, I would argue, at the state level. And so, and yet, definitely some places that we can continue to grow. And I can come back to these slides. There's just a couple of more slides. So MCAS gets reported back to us in terms of achievement. It also gets reported back to us in terms of accountability. So we receive an overall accountability rating from the state. The state also sets achievement targets for us, and they assess the progress that we're making in terms of meeting those targets. And so just to share with you a couple of, again, high-level indicators, and we can come back to this based on any questions that you might have. Quick side note, this is the first year since 2019 that the full accountability results have been released by the state. The accountability system was modified during the COVID years, and so we're sort of, even with the state, we're back to where we were in terms of how they rate our achievement and accountability. So you'll see, I'll put this in slideshow mode. You'll see that our overall accountability classification is we are deemed to be meeting or exceeding targets here in Long Meadow Public Schools. This is the district as a whole. I'll zoom in on that if I can I don't know if that's too small for us here in the room. Is that?
No.
So our overall classification is that we're meeting and exceeding targets. The 77% that you see there is a criterion referenced percentage. It's basically reflective of the extent to which we have met various achievement targets that are set by us, by the Massachusetts Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. Those achievement targets relate to our overall achievement, student growth, chronic absenteeism, advanced coursework. There's a number of targets that are set for us that we're judged against. And so by the state's rating, we are in that meeting or exceeding targets range, and that we hit 77% by their system, 77% of the targets that they have set for us. And then finally, you'll see in the bottom right here, the overall accountability percentages that our 6 schools fall into, and you'll see that we're in the, 83rd percentile or above. This is sort of a straight achievement. This is a straight achievement indicator based on 2023 scores and I believe prior years as well. So, pleased to see that, those accountability percentiles remain high for us here in Long Meadow Public Schools. But again, this is at a sort of 30,000-foot view for you, just to see how we're progressing as a district. And, in any ways that the committee wants us to drill down and bring back some information, we could do that. So that's for your consideration tonight. Happy to answer some questions, but again, we can take a deeper dive at your next meeting if it would be helpful.
All right, we'll open to questions and/or feedback. Something to comment? Yep.
Are these scores, would you say that there's also been the same sort of rebound in the science scores as well? Do you have that data?
Yeah, I don't have the set, we can bring that back the next meeting. Science has been a little flatter, I'd say, Andrew, and that was true. I think we've seen that even statewide, but we can bring that back as well.
All right,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts or feedback? I think the only other thing that might be interesting to look at, and at quick glance, it looks like there is an ability to do that, sort of that idea of tracking within the cohort for each. So the third graders from 2019 are in 7th grade now.
Right.
What did their progress look like over the last few years? What were their 6th grade scores, 5th grade scores? And are we seeing that either consistency or improvement along the way? So that cohort would be good. Julie?
Yeah, I had a couple questions. One was, Marty, you can see here differences, like we can see on this slide the differences among the schools in terms of their overall accountability percentile.
Yep.
What are you seeing in terms of like differences among, the different elementary schools or the different middle schools in terms of the ELA, math, science scores, and like how are you thinking about that? Has it changed over time?
Can I add that to the list of questions that we'll bring back to you next week? Or
Sure.
in 2 weeks,
Yeah,
rather?
that's totally fine.
Yep, absolutely. Great question.
And my other question I think was maybe similar to Nicole's. Is it okay, Nicole, for me to ask another?
Yeah, of course.
Or do you want?
Of course. No, go for it.
My other question was, like, it is obviously, great to see the progress from year to year, but for some students, because they were, like, already older during COVID, they have less time in our schools, right, to close the gaps that were created during the pandemic. And so just curious, like, how you're thinking about that, right? Because for kids who are in kindergarten, they've got many years with us to keep, working on interventions. But for kids who are in 8th, 9th grade, they have less time to close those gaps.
Right, yeah, and I think you're onto something there in the sense that what was encouraging was that the 3rd grade scores, we saw some good rebounds in math at 8th grade, so that was very encouraging and bodes well for their performance in high school. But we can dive deeper into that as well, just to give you some sense of where we're seeing the strongest recovery and where that, as you suggest, the window is a little tighter for older students, and so we can bring you back some information on that as well.
Mary?
I'm also interested, and you mentioned this before, Marty, but I'm interested in the subgroup data.
Yep.
Great.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, and last thoughts? Julie, is your hand up again, or just?
No, sorry, I forgot to put it down, but I will.
That's okay. Mary?
This is related, sort of, but when can families expect to receive their score reports?
That's a great question. We talked about that at our administrative meeting recently, and we did pin down a date. We will notify families soon. I think it was Mr.
I think it's
Meza.
October 20th,
Very good.
I
Okay.
think.
Yeah,
Thanks.
yeah, thank you.
All
Then
right.
those individual score reports will be mailed home to families.
On October 20th.
Yeah, I think that's when we'll release them, yeah.
All right, fantastic. Seeing no other conversation related to MCAS? Yes, all right, we are moving on. We have one final recommended motion to close us out this evening, and we will return in a few weeks.
I move that the school committee adjourn the October 11th, 2023 school committee meeting.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
I second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, we will move to a roll call vote. Julie?
Yes.
Zach?
Yes.
Michaela?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
And yes for me as well. Thank you very much. Have a lovely evening, and we will see you all in a few weeks.